If you see here, you can see SOD is connected to VOD, but it is mentioned as single system landscape. Okay, single system configuration. But here I see two systems. So what does it mean? Okay, because the other one is a virtual system. This VOD is a virtual system. Okay, which means that there is no system physically installed under the name of VOD. Instead, it is connected to a virtual system just for another purpose, another cause. Okay, you will get to know what is the need of this virtual system later, but I'm not going to explain it right now because it goes in a different topic. Okay, this STMS alone itself it takes another class to explain it. Okay, but before that, this is just a single system because we have only SOD installed, and the visual system is VOD, which is specifically non-present. So this is a single system landscape only. Okay, so let's see what is LMDB. Transaction to use LMDB. Okay, LMDB. So if you see this in this diagram, okay, so the technical systems or ASABAP or ASJava or whatever the SAP systems that are running in, okay, it supplies the data to SLD. Okay, it supplies the data through the data supplier. Okay, so data supplier, which is on the technical system, will be sending the data to system landscape directly SLD, and the SLD will be synchronizing the data to the LMDB. Okay, again, LMDB is part of the solution manager. Okay, solution manager, we have other plus monitoring, root cause analysis. There are a lot of purposes are available for solution manager, but primarily we're concentrating on the monitoring part today. Okay, in the monitoring, so in the solution manager, we have an LMDB. It gets synchronized via SLD. Okay, and it passes information to SAP support portal. Okay. What is this SAP support portal? SAP support portal is actual SAP. Actual SAP, they need to know about what system that you install, because in case if you run into some issue, they want to connect back to us to fix it. Okay. So for that purpose only, LMDB is connected to the SAP support portal. Okay, if it is not connected, then they will not be able to see what system that you are using, because the SAP has thousands of products. Okay, they need to know about what product you are using, what is the version, what is the package install, what is the issue. Okay, which part of the package is having issue. Those information they need to get to know. For that purpose only, the entire solution manager itself is connected to the SAP support portal. Okay, so this diagram is clear, right? You need to know about this first before going to the LMDB thing. So this is very important. So the technical system passes the information to SLD. This is the data flow. And this is how it flows. It passes through the data supplier. The information of the technical system is passed to SLD, and from SLD it goes to LMDB. LMDB is again a part of the solution manager, and LMDB updates the details, this technical system details, which is received from SLD to the SAP support port. This maintenance another maintenance transaction. I will let you know what later. Okay, not now. Okay. So in LMDB, if you see, if you go to code, yes,
Hello, Arun.
yeah.
Arun, tell me one thing that for a particular SAP application, we have only one solution manager.
No, no, it is not specific to the application server. It is for the entire landscape. For the entire, say for example, IRCTC, as I said, IRCTC they started implementing S4 HANA system, HANA database, right? So
Yeah.
for IRCTC, they might not have only this train ticketing system. Okay, they also have some other SAP systems installed into it, but they should have at least one solution manager installed. It's not specific to the product; it is specific to one landscape, entire landscape.
Okay.
Okay, it's not for one ECC system to one solution manager. Not that is not the case. Not one banking SAP banking to one solution. Not like that. You have thousands of banking systems installed in the machine, thousands of SAP products like CRM, SRM, everything. You have multiple, countless SAP systems in your landscape, but you should have at least only one solution manager to monitor.
Okay, so for a particular landscape, we have to we have only one solution manager which can handle or monitor the landscape, right?
Exactly, that's right. Okay, so it is like solution manager is like 1:n. You should have one solution manager to monitor n number of systems. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the solution manager we logged in, right? LDKOT, what is that? And if I click the host, I'm seeing these many systems connected to it. 197 systems. Currently, we have 191 systems installed on or connected to this solution manager. Okay, it holds the name, fully qualified domain name, IP address. It holds all the information. Say, for example, if I go here, let me check this. Okay. So it says that this is a host, it is a virtual host, and this is a fully qualified domain number, a domain name. This is the IP address, this is the CPU information, this is the operating system on which it is running, this is the operating system version, okay, in details. This is the system type. I'll tell you what system type later. Before that, the installed software, alternative host names, okay, router configuration, and additional attributes. All these information are relevant to this course. So, for example, if I go to this one, application server ABAP, as ABAP, I told you, remember, as ABAP as Java. Okay, that is
Yes.
this. So go to technical system. You choose whether it is an as ABAP or as Java or a database system or any other external service, Apache Tomcat, .NET, thousands of information you can take here. Okay, whether it is a business object cluster, HANA database, live cache, mobile platform, web dispatcher, Trex, anything can be connected over here. Okay, but for now, let me go to as ABAP. Just 1 second, hold on, I'll be back. Okay, just a second. I'll put on mute and be back. Okay, just hold on. On YouTube Dev Carnegie. Okay, thanks for waiting, guys. As I was telling, in the LMDB, I have chosen as ABAP system about the system CD1. Okay, CD1 is the SAD of the system, which is running on YouTube Dev CarDB. This is the database information. So all the information you can see it over here. Okay, so this is an extended system ID. Extended system ID is nothing but just an ID. ID which collectively holds all the information about the system. Okay, CD1 is the system ID. Extended system ID can be anything like CD1 car 01, car 02. The reason why we are having car is because it is a car hack system. For customer, one second, hold on guys. CD1 is the system ID. Car is the information about the customer. Okay, car hack. We have car hack the customer. So just to identify it, we may add a car 01, 02, 03. You can have it n number of times. Okay. So the database is dev car db01. The installation number. Installation number. These things we will have this covered in the license part. Okay, what is the license? How to install? What is the installation number? What is the system number? All those information we will cover it in the license part. Okay. So the release version. What is the release version of this application server? It is 753. Okay. These are all the product information and other stuff. Add-on product. This is the information what we saw in this part. We go to system status. What we saw here, okay, is exactly the same thing here. The product version, the add-ons, and other information. Okay. So here you see the support portal. As I said, SAP support portal. This information, all the information will be uploaded, can be uploaded to the SAP support portal. Okay, if you just click this button, this information will be passed to SAP automatically. So once you install the system, to perform the maintenance and other activities, you connect it to the solution manager. So you pass information through the data supplier to SLD, and from SLD you pass information to the LMDB, and from LMDB you upload it to the SAP support portal so that SAP gets to know that okay, this customer has installed this system, or this customer is having this many landscapes. So all the information SAP gets to know. So in future, if say for example, if I am having an issue with this system CD1 car1, so I'll raise an incident to SAP. So SAP, they immediately log into the support portal to get to know about the product information, what product you have installed, all the information they get it from the support portal, and they will start analyzing the issue. So as I said earlier, all the codes, all the things are already developed by SAP itself. So when you say when you raise an incident for some issue, they will easily get to know about which product. Okay, so this is the part of the code. So they will work on the fix on it. Okay. So let me check this. So software. This is exactly what we saw it in that system status. Okay, that information, system database, CD1 external system, the DB4 scheme. Since this is a HANA system, the manufacturer is mentioned as SAP. If it is running on the Oracle system, you will see that the manufacturer is Oracle. Okay? Since it is a HANA database, you are seeing SAP. The release version is this. Database is SAP HANA, built with 64. Technical system. So technical system is like how many application servers you have, what is the message server name, what is the central service name. All this information it will hold automatically. Okay? You just need to pass the information through the data supplier to SLE. That's it. From SLE to automatically pushes to LMD. So the application server details, what is the client, 000 by default is the client. Okay, so when you install an SAP system, the very first client being installed is 000. This is called as a golden client, and it's also called as an SAP reference client. Okay, you should not delete this 000 client at any cost. Okay, the reason is like you perform client copy from 000 only. Okay, so you can have n number of clients. It's possible to have n number of clients. But even in that case, you should not delete 000 client. So maybe 200 and 250 are copied over 000 client only. Okay. So this is the logical thing and other stuff. Post details. So post detail is dev car app. This is an application server. Dev car DB, which is the DB server name. Fully qualified name, the corresponding IP address. what is the Linux version, what is the CPU size, all the information you have you need not log into each and every system to get the information. So once you pack it to the solution manager, from the solution manager you can see all the information you can. Okay, the memory, CPU, what is the version, kernel version, all the information you can see it over there. Okay, so destination is an RFC destination. It will be created when you perform managed system configuration. You get to know that. Okay, so uh, similarly for as Java, so for any Java system also, you'll get to know about the information. Let me choose CP1 car PT. Okay. So PT1 car is an application server Java. This is over here, application server Java. This is the DB host name. Software is like, these are all the products installed. If you take an Acquire, Java engine, Adobe services, all this information, it is totally relevant to Java system. Database again, it is an CODB. The version is 2.47. But there comes the question like, since this is an HANA database, why the manufacturer is known as unknown? Okay. Sometimes if you did not perform the data supplier push from the managed system to SLD or from SLD to LMDB, if you not properly perform the managed system configuration, there you will get to know that this kind of issues like manufacturer will be unknown, something, some process is not properly performed. So that is the reason you are having this issue. Okay? So technical instances, these are the two application servers, and this is the central service running on this, the corresponding port numbers, all the information you can see it over here. PU2, PRD, PO app 1, this is the host application server 1, application server 2, and this is the central server. Okay? So this is LMDB, okay, it holds all the information. SLD is again very similar to this, but SLD will not have much more information than this. LMDB is an enhanced version of SLD. Okay, it is an enhanced version. Okay, so this is SLD. Here also we have technical system, landscapes, and other thing information. Okay, first let's see the landscape information. Luckily, we did not create anything because this solution manager belongs to the processor. They have not created it. But anyway, that does not mean it is wrong. So let's go to the technical systems. The CD1, what we saw in the LMDB, right? That information, this is the information from here only it is pushed to the SLD. Okay, whatever the information that you saw over there, you can say the same over here. The client 100, 200, 300, the logical system name, message server, the application server. Okay, so everything you can see it over there. You will mention the type as well, as ABAP, as Java. Okay, well, it's a third-party system, anything. All information will be there. But this SLD will have a limited version, limited information. But LMDB will have all the information. It will get more information than this. Okay. Okay, so that's it.
So again, if we had LMDB, so what is the need of SLD? So it is only need.
Exactly. I was expecting this question. Sorry, who was that?
Shubham.
Shubham. Okay. Shubham, your question is an excellent question. I'll tell you why SLD is more very important because SLD plays a vital role in management. Okay, we have a concept, we have a product called SAP PO or SAP PA. Okay. I'm really happy about this. You asked this question. So for example, SAP PO is a process orchestrator. Okay. SAP PO is called as a process orchestrator.
Arun, your screen got freezed. It is not display anything.
1 second, hold on. I'll share it.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. So there is one
Yeah.
product called SAP PO, okay, or SAP PA. They call it in many ways. Okay, process integration or process orchestra. Process orchestra is the latest version. Okay. The main role of this SAP PO is it plays as a middleware.
Mm.
Middleware, uh, like through PO only, a non-SAP system access the information to SAP. Okay. Say for example, uh, uh, the purchase orders for a customer or an invoices from the customer are running on a non-SAP system. Say for example, IBM WebSphere or any other third-party system, any other non-SAP system. Okay. They have the information. They have the payroll information or the process invoice information or any other thing that is running on a non-SAP system. So how can I pull that information from a non-SAP system to my SAP system, to my ECC system, to my S4 HANA system? How to get all those information? So in order to process the data which is running on a non-SAP system to SAP system, we have SAP have developed an excellent product called SAP PO. Okay, so SAP PO will play as a middleware between SAP and non-SAP. Okay, this PO was initially installed like ABAP plus Java. Okay, ABAP plus Java was there, and later it was set as only as ABAP, and currently it is only supporting as Java. This PO is currently being supported as Java only. So the PO is a big topic. I'm not going very deep into that, but in order to for SAP PO to run, SLD is a very mandatory. Okay, so if this PO is down, sorry, if this SLD is down, it literally means PO is down. Okay, so for that purpose only, this SLD is still in place. Okay, LMDB is a new concept. Like when we were studying, when we started our career with SAP, LMDB was not there. It was only SLD. Even some 4 to 5 years before, we don't have a concept for LMDB at all. It was only SLD. From SLD only directly connect to the solution manager. From the solution manager, we used to monitor the system. Okay, but LMDB is an enhanced version. Is an enhanced version of the SLD which holds more information about the system, but still SLD is not grayed out or ruled out because SLD forms the primary part of PO, SAP PO. Okay, even without LMDB, SAP PO works, but without SLD, PO will not work. Okay, so that is the reason SLD is still in place. Okay, even though it has very less information or it is less enhanced or the primary part, SAP did not remove SLD from their product. Okay, is it clear, Shivam? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, it is clear now.
Okay, perfect. So the operating system database, purpose and goal of the system monitoring. So I'll tell you the goal of the system monitoring. The main purpose of the system monitoring is like when the product system goes down, or say for example, if there is a file system getting filled up very quickly, we need to get informed about it. That is the purpose of the system monitoring. Okay, so the system monitoring, I'll show you a sample alert that has been generated from the solution manager. Okay. So these are all the alerts generated from the solution manager. Okay. Okay. Solman email ID, it is sent to us in case that IDOC error. Okay. Start time, end time, what is the object type, what is the rating, on which category it comes in, what is the status, all this information will be given over here. If you open the attachment, it provides you the more information. The number of IDOCs in error status in the last 15 minutes is yellow in color, or yellow is just like a warning. The number of IDOCs in intermediate status the last 15 minutes is red in color. It's triple six. If you see triple six, it is a threshold value. If it crosses the threshold value only, you will get an alert. So maybe the number of IDOCs which has crossed, which is in intermediate status, has passed more than 666 number. So that is why this alert has been generated. Okay. So similarly, you have all the variety of alerts. Okay, database service unavailable, central service is unavailable, URL not accessible. Okay, so there are n number of alerts that can be configured. That can be configured via this. Okay. But before that, so this is the part of the solution manager. Okay, how to configure the alerts and how to do all the other things. You will once you get your credentials, you will get a chance to run over it. Okay, but before that, let me cover this topic for today, like the operating system, database, R3 buffers. Okay, how to monitor it manually. First of all, let's see how to monitor it manually, and then we will simulate to the solution manager or hand it over to the solution manager so that it takes care of it. Okay. So first of all, this one, right? Okay. So how to monitor an operating system? Okay. So for monitoring the operating system, for example, the user says the SAP application server is not responding, it is very slow, please check. Okay. So for that, first we need to log into the operating system to see whether is there something bothering in the operating system state or not. Okay. So let me open an operating system to see. So first of all, when I try to log into the system, I'm able to log in. So if I'm not able to log in over here, there comes the first problem. Okay, I'm not able to the VM. So there is the problem with the VM. VM might be hanged or it is fault. There's some other process, some other thing happened to the virtual machine. So that's why we are not able to log into the system. So the very first thing is like you need to check it whether we are able to log into the VM or not. Okay. So after you logged in, so you are able to log in. Okay. So then what is the other thing to check? Is like, so once you log in, switch it to root. I am the root now. Say for example, if you get an alert saying that this file system is full. Okay. So just check what is the file system. ds-h. Okay. ds-h. If you see, say for example, you get an alert saying that yours are SAP is 100%. But here it is not 100%, but I'm just showing how to check. Okay, so ds-h. So go to this file system and see which is passing more things. It is having what is the highest number of used percentage. Okay. du command which provides you the information, this usage information, -sh. It is for H is to provide the information in the gigabyte format. Okay, so as you put H here, it provides you in gigabyte size. So similarly, it will provide you the information in gigabyte. Okay, but this command is taking a little bit of time, but that is okay. It doesn't mean that the operating system is taking a long time. So let's wait for some time. Okay, 1 or 2 minutes is fine, but waiting for 5 to 10 minutes to see this problem. But 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, that's fine. Excuse me. Fine. I just stopped it, but you need to wait and see. Okay. So here, uh, 30. This is an SH system EQ1. Okay, so EQ1 is 13 GB. This is fine. So 13 to 15 GB is fine. Okay, but say for example, if there is a term or any out of memory thing, you will see this EQ1 SAD system, SAD folder will be occupied like 50 GB or 100 GB or something like that. Definitely, it is not needed. Okay, for an application server to run, 13 to 15 GB is enough. 30 to 15 GB, that is all. Okay, apart from that, maximum it goes to 20 GB only. Apart, definitely not even 21 GB. Okay, so 20 GB is the maximum we can set. So after that, if it occupies, then you have to go to EQ1 to see uh, what is bothering, which folder, which file system is taking more thing and all the other information. You need to sort it out. Okay, from the operating system, the available free memory. Okay, so the available free memory you can see free -im. Top command, you can see the number of CPUs used, the current memory, the total memory, the current use, and free memory buffers, and all those information you can see it over here. So here, if you can see, we can see SAP underscore SAD underscore instance number 32 and the corresponding CPU used percentage. Okay. There will be some instances like you can see the amount of memory or the CPU used will be 100%. Okay, it will be constantly showing you as 100%. Okay, so you have to identify what is the work process number here. W32, W56, W57, or whatever, whichever showing it as top highest CPU memory. Then you have to log into the application server to see what that job is. Whether we need to cancel it or stop it or whatever it is. The next action you need to discuss or you need to take upon. First of all, you need to get what the information is all about. Okay, which is causing the issue, why it is causing the issue, how to fix it. All those things you need to identify. Okay, so the stop command will be very useful in this. Right? So any SAP system to run, you need to have three file systems definitely be mounted on any VM. Okay, one is yours or SAP, and another one is SAP MNT, and another one is yours or SAP. It yours or SAP Trans, SAP MNT, and another one is yours or SAP. Okay. These three mount points should be there for any SAP system to run. Okay, or any VM that you log into, any SAP VM that you log in, you will definitely see all these mount points, except for DB. Okay, we are not considering the DB now. For the application servers, I'm talking about. Okay, so so what does this user SAP contain? What does this SAP MNT contain? What does this user SAP trans contain? You need to know. Okay, so user SAP contains all the binaries of the corresponding SAD. Say for example, I am here in user SAP only, right? User, I think Prasanna has covered you the file system structure, right? So that
Yes.
I have mentioned you about what is this EK1. If you go to the SAD, you will see this folder structure. ASCS, D01, DVEBM, all those things I think he might have covered you. Okay. So all the binaries will be there in USR SAP. USR SAP, SAP. Will have B XX or JXX. XX is the instance number, okay? JXX. And depending upon the Java system or HTML, you'll have ASCS XX or J or simply SCS XX. Okay. So this is the file system which contains all the binaries binaries and the work logs. And the log information. Okay, the logs will be available inside. Binaries will be there in sys folder, okay, sys folder or DS folder, and logs will be available in work folder, A2E folder. Okay, so if you go to D10, you have a folder called work. Okay, so inside the work folder, these are all the logs. These are all the logs written by the SAP application server on the top of the on the operating system. Okay, so you can open and see any work process thing. Okay, let's open this more. It's a very big file. Let me grab and see. Grab. So these many errors are there, but we need to see the timing also. At what time the error is reported. Okay, and all those information you need to find it out. But that's fine. So I just wanted you to know about how to look into that thing. Okay. So similarly for Java, you have to go to USR SAP SAD J10 and /work. Okay, at the same, there is another folder called J2EE. You'll get to know, I'll tell you because I don't want to dump it more information right now. You just need to know about inside USR SAP, you have binaries, which is in sys folder, and logs, which is in work and J2E directory. That's it. Okay, I don't know. So SAP MNT also has binaries and binaries and other common information, common data information will be available in the SAP MNT. Okay, let's go and see what is there. So binaries will be there in exe folder, obviously here. Will be there. What is the other common data information? The other common data information will be like profile. Profile is common. Okay, the profile will be mounted in all the application servers, so it is a common. And there is a folder called global as well. Okay, so if you see global, okay, so inside global you have what is this called school information. Okay, school. So that we need to know about this. Security, tech info. These things are more. This is more information about the security purposes. But in global directory, you'll have school information and other stuff. Okay? As of now, this is okay. Once you start working, you will get to know what is this tech info, what is this message or access control info, what is this security also. Okay, you can go and always see it, but don't delete anything in here. Okay, this you can see what is this data. This library folder. You can just go and see it as a primary thing that you are starting with. If you just go and see what is there and available, understand the file structure so that whenever there is an issue, you need to know at which file system you need to journal. Okay, primarily it will be work directory only. This work directory and J2 directory only primarily. Okay, but other file systems also you need to know about. What is this user SAP trans? Okay, user SAP trans is a transport directory. Okay, it's a transport directory. Okay, any objects that are being developed from the development system will be written over to this user SAP transform loop. Okay, as I said here, so here, as I said, all the objects that are developed in development system. Okay, So once they are developed and they are packed and released, okay, all the things will come and sit over in user SAP trans only. So this is where all those information will be there. Okay. So if you go and see some 4 data files, data. I know guys, it is too much of information, but just bear with me, okay? But I'm pretty sure that once you start working on it, you definitely can easily understand this. But don't worry about this. There are too many file systems. How can I remember in my mind too many transaction codes? That is all fine, but don't worry about it. Once you start working on basis, these things will, by default, it will be put onto your mind. So don't worry about it, okay? But whenever it comes to transport directory, you need to know about the data and core files. So data, this is the data. Say for example, these are all the data. They are developed from ED1 system, developed from the ED1 system, as I said here. From here it is developed from the development system, which is developed, and it will be moved to EP1. Okay, but till it moves to EP1, the extension of ED1 will be maintained. It will be ED1 only, because it is developed from the development. The extension will be the .ed1 represents that it is developed from the ED1 system, which is the development system. Okay, so there are too many developments made. So all the developments made, we come and switch over to user SAP trans data only. Okay, and there is another folder called profile asset. Profile. It also has, it is just like a metadata. The information about the data itself is called as a metadata. Okay, so that information will be available in profile. Bin, as I said, bin holds the binaries which is required for the user SAP trans, and also it contains the profile information about the transport director. Okay, what is the domain and all those things. This transport will be very interesting one. I'll ensure that I'll cover it in the next another class. Here you can see this one, this transport managed directory. There you can see about more information about it. It will be very interesting only. But as of now, you need to know about this is a file folder structure and it contains this information. So operating system, I think this is almost covered everything. And database. Okay, let me log into the database and show you how the folder structure will be. Okay. Log into the system and I click it to root. So who am I? I'm the root. Okay, so I know this course is holding the database, but I don't know what is the DB for that. Okay, so how to go to that? Okay, so go to DB HANA. Go to DB HANA stack. So what is this HQ1? This system is DB. Okay, so then you have to put it over to HQ1 only. Okay. Here also, the mount points will be slightly different, not like user SAP or SAP MNT or user SAP Tran. But here it will be something like HANA data, HANA shared, HANA log. Okay, these 3 mount points are important. Okay? Also, obviously, you have backup, but backup you can not necessarily have it here. You can also have the backup running, and the backup can be written to another VM or another mount point. But for the database to be running, you need to have this HANA log, HANA data, HANA share. Okay. Okay. So similar to ABAP system, you see HTTP double zero HTTP followed by the instance number. You have global HTM. There are profile also is there. Profile EXE as I said, it holds the binary. Profile contains the database information, profile of the database. Okay, and then HDB contains the what you say, the work logs and other things. Okay, go to the this one. So here, this is the location. HANA shared SID, HTTP instance number, host trace. This is the location where the DB traces are written or DB work logs are written. Log files are written over to this part only. Okay. So I know it's very hard to to remember this entire location. Instead, so it's I don't know how to keep these things into the mind. So instead, you can put CD trace. CD trace and alias. Okay, it directly takes you to that location. Okay, just like how CDEXE takes you to the executed directory, or CD Pro takes you to the profile directory. CD trace is an alias which can be used only in the database, not on the application system. Okay, so CD trace will take you to the trace directory or the log file directory of the database. So here you need to find it out which logs to open, to fix the issue, or to find out the info, whatever. Okay. Database. For HANA database, to know whether the HANA database is running or not, you should give HDB info. Okay. So HDB info will provide you the information about the database. So the name server, compile server, processor, index server. This is a very important one. Index server. This is the actual service, database service, or actual information will be available only in the index server port only. Sorry, index server only. These are all the parts of the HANA database. Once you start to know about HANA database, you will get to know about it. But just need to know about whether someone asks you to check whether the database is up and running or not. Then you come and execute this command HTTP info, okay, to see whether you are able to see this index server or not. Okay, there is no information if there is no point of database running if this index server is not running. If the index server is down, technically it means that the database is lost. Okay, this is for HANA database. Okay, other than this, you need to start HTTP start command to stop HTTP stop. And whether to see the replication is running on this, you need to go to CDEXE, CD Python support. There is one Python script installed to see whether the replication is running or not. Okay. This is not configured for primary and secondary, so you will not be able to see here. I'll show you the component.
And Arun, which three things you have told us about that that without those three things the database will not open or will not work? One is HANA shared and other one is
oh, okay, that one. HANA share, HANA log, HANA data.
okay.
So there is a concept called replication in the database. Okay, I'll tell you a basic information about this. Once you start working on it, you will get to know. Okay. So the previous classes, I have covered you a concept called HA system, right? Highly available system. Do you remember?
Yes. High elevator
Highly
system.
available system. What it is if node A fails, node A goes down, the services will be failed over to node B. Okay, so if the DB is running on node A, say for example there is a crash, the operating system gets crashed, or if the power goes off, or for some other activities, one of the mount point goes down. So obviously the service, the database, the HANA shared, HANA data, or HANA log, if one of those file system gets unmounted, then obviously the database service fails down. Okay, but in production server we cannot take the risk. So obviously what will happen? That will be saved over to node B automatically. Okay, so after the failover, all the services will be running on node B successfully, right? But node A and node B should be configured to have this replication going on in between them. Okay, so the live replication should be configured. This is a part of installation anyway. Live replication should be configured between these two systems. Okay. So there's a question like, it will be configured only for this two systems? No, you can have for another system also. Okay. Or she can also be configured. So typically in Tarahat system, they have this node A called as primary node. Node B is configured as a secondary node. Node C is not called as tertiary node. Instead, it is called DR node. Okay. DR is a primary. DR is another important thing, just like highly available disaster recovery. Okay. Say for example, if the entire primary and the secondary goes down, what should we do? Okay. So both if primary and secondary goes down. So how to retrieve the services? Say for example, in California, we have the data center node A and node B configured in California data center. If the entire California goes down due to say a cyclone or a what do you call some other natural disaster, okay, what happens if both the data centers goes down? So for that only, we need to configure the DR node as well. DR node will be running in extremely very far place from the primary and the secondary. Say for example, East US will be having the primary node and the secondary node. West US will be having the DR node. Or the DR node not necessarily be in West US. It also can be in Europe, or it can have in some other places where the natural disaster are very less likely to happen. Okay, so so what did I say? These things like the live replication should not be configured only for this primary and the secondary. You can also have another node as well. So how to check this replication? Okay, for that only this command is used. So this is the command. Python system replication status. So you issue the command. So how to understand the command? Okay, okay. So here QA ERP DB21 is the primary node, and it is the site 1 getting replicated to QA ERP DB22. So this is 21 and this is 22. Okay, 22 is called as site 2. Okay, so these are all the services that are getting replicated to site 2. Name server, access engine, doc store, index server, DB server. Okay, so this index server, okay, name server, access engine here, doc store is here, and DP server, HPDP server. Okay, So these are all the services that are configured to replicate to the second site 2. Okay, where is the site 3? Okay, typically it is not configured over here, but I can show you. Okay, just hold on. I'll show you. So here, so how to read this? Like from node DB01, that is node 8, it is going to, this is East US, this is West US. This is called DR node in Carhartt. Okay, in Carhartt, for Carhartt customer, we configured in this way. Okay, so from primary to secondary, so this is from primary to secondary part. Okay, so from primary DB01, it goes to DB02. Okay, primary is called site 1, DB02 is called as site 2. Similarly, from primary it goes to the DR node as well. Okay, if you see this part. Okay, so from primary EU2 PRD ERP DB01, it goes to the West US WU2 PRD ERP DB01, and that is called as site 3. Okay, so I'll just show you for how the replication, how to check the replication in case of 3 node configuration. Okay, so this is how we need to monitor the database as well. Okay, so this monitoring part of the database is very important in the production, because we need to ensure that from primary it goes to secondary as to the DR node as well. Okay, so is it mandatory to have the tertiary or the DR node configured in all the cases? No, it's not needed. Okay, but it is the customer's choice whether they need to have the third node configured or not. Okay, for Carhartt customer, they are happy to pay the infrastructure to run it in West US. So that case you configure the DR node. But it is okay to have only 2 nodes, primary and the secondary configured, as long as the location where the data center is installed is less likely to have any natural disaster, like flood or as I said, Tufan or whatever it is. Okay. So any natural disaster is less likely to happen. You can, it is okay to configure only 2 node configurations, like database configuration. Okay, that's it. We'll have a short break, guys. Okay, so it's 12:17 now. Let's join back by 12:30.